not error. Expert testimony filled in the chemistry. Specialists explained insulin detection, how samples are taken, how labs distinguish endogenous insulin from what is introduced, why chain of custody locks every step from bedside to analysis. The process is a relay. Each handoff is recorded. If the chain holds, the result holds. That is how clinical questions become legal facts. Jurors heard how those findings tie back to practice on the ward. Insulin is not a routine component of neonatal feeding in such cases. So when assays come back positive at levels that contradict standard care, motive is not required for guilt. The act and its consequences carry the weight. The Crown's narrative moved with that logic. Repeated acts, deliberate presence, no credible medical alternative. This breached the UK's Offences Against the Person Act, 1861, Section 16 and 58, prohibiting administering noxious substances to endanger life or cause grievous harm. Sentencing remarks marked a moral line. Under UK law, repeated murder of infants brings life imprisonment with a whole life order barring parole, compounding family trauma through mandatory victim impact statements. The court imposed life terms that reflect the profound breach of trust and the harm done to families who entrusted their children to a protected space. The message was plain. The most vulnerable are not a shield against accountability. The contrast sets the stage for what comes next. Here, intent lived on paper and in patterns that survive scrutiny. In the next case, the camera becomes the witness. The lens replaces the diary. The feed replaces the note. And timing still tells the story.
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you aren't?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mask, would you be kind enough to elicit a factual basis? Mr. Mask.
What does accountability look like when the lens never blinks? In North Dallas, an anesthesiologist named Reinaldo Rivera Ortiz worked in a setting built on control. Sterile rooms, numbered bags, locked warmers. Then routine procedures turned into cardiac emergencies. And the corridor between a supply room and an operating suite became the narrow path the law followed. The split was stark. Were these medical errors or deliberate tampering? Incidents began to map onto a timeline that narrowed to minutes. Specific 4 bags passed through a warmer and into operating rooms, and shortly after, patients crashed. The pattern tightened with each case. Surveillance answered questions people were afraid to ask out loud. Video captured a physician placing bags into a warmer,